It is. It is recording. What episode is this? No idea.
Is it 14 or 13? 14? 14, I think.
I think 13, but it could well be 14. No, I'm losing track. I'm losing track.
Organised podcast on the internet, of course.
Yeah. Well, we organised ones are boring. We don't want it to be scripted. Although, plot twist, what if this was scripted?
Exactly. Mwahaha.
Right. So, topic. By the way, I didn't do any research. I said I'd have a look, and I literally just went on the page for 5 seconds. I just got distracted.
Imagined that I did research. How's about that? I imagined that I looked up this topic, but
Oh, there we go.
I think there's enough winging ability between us to attack this topic.
Yeah, exactly.
Reasonably entertaining for our listeners in survival camp in Minnesota. Yeah.
So let's hop in. Let's hop in and introduce one of many of the topics that will no doubt come up. I also don't know how good this connection is, by the way. I'm listening back, and I don't know how strong it is, but we can proceed either way and find out later. If it's shit, then we can just scrap it. Who knows? But have you got any connection issues your end?
No. Yeah, full service, and I can hear you fine at the moment.
Okay. Well, we will discover afterwards. Yeah, topic of conversation. I have my foot elevated, by the way, so I don't know if that's making me sound weird, but it makes me feel weird. I've got my foot like because I'm trying to reduce the swelling on the ankle, and because I've realised if I don't actually do something, it is just going to be like this for 4 weeks. So I need to actually put a bit of effort in. But yeah, it's making me feel fucking uncomfortable. Anyways, right, people listening, our two followers. Topic was going to be centenarians, and if you don't know what that is, well, that's tough luck. You should educate yourselves. Go to school. No, that's not what they teach at school. But centenarian is someone that lives or has lived or whatever to over 100 years. And yeah, there used to be a Wikipedia article I stumbled across, or a Wikipedia page a while back, which listed the most influential centenarians of all time. So the people you'd expect to be on the list, a couple of Rothschilds, people of that kind. And yeah, I mean, it contains numbers which most people would find it very difficult to comprehend. Like, it's just, it seems insane, 120, 125. I think the top one was, I thought it was 140, but it was certainly between late 100 and like maybe 128 and 140, something like that. I don't know what the world record is at this time, but I know that one of the Japanese that held it until recently passed away at just under 120 or something. But the point is that we're talking about people that are multinational corporate just dons, essentially, people that are busy, that have schedules, that probably get less than 4 hours sleep. They're at coke parties in London basements, in the swankiest villas and swankiest mansions. And those that were born at the turn of the century are probably chain smoking Cubans and indulging in all kinds of things like gluttony. And yet these people manage to live, supposedly, well over their 100th birthday, which is quite scary, considering that the average individual that might lead a pretty healthy life in, let's say, the West, where life expectancies are a little bit better, and that's obviously inclusive of places like Japan, get up to their late 80s and early 90s, and yet these people seem to have 20, 30 years on that. So the question is, or the debate, discussion, whatever one wants to call it, is how do we get to that stage? Is it the adrenochrome? Is it the children in the basement that are keeping that vitality running? Or is it more a case of what they have is normality in terms of their life expectancy, and what we have is very substandard because of all the crap they're spraying into our food and spraying into the air, and the aerosol cans that people use for deodorant and the toothpaste people feed into their bloodstream. Or is it a combination of both? What do you think, James?
I would say it's a combination of both. I definitely think that our life expectancy has deliberately been attacked. I don't believe the narrative that everyone used to die in their 40s, like in the 1800s and whatever. I think there might have been slight phases where certain things were happening where the life expectancy was lower, i.e., during like the world wars in the 40s and 1914 to 18 and 39 to 45. During those times, it makes sense that overall global life expectancy would have been lower just due to what was going on. Tens of millions of people were being killed all over the world. But it just like stands to reason, because even looking at living centenarians, I'm looking at a list here of living centenarians, and the oldest living one with a verified is somebody in America. She was the first lady of Costa Rica, and once again, the widow.
She was the first lady of Costa Rica.
Yes.
What a coincidence that is.
What a coincidence indeed. And she's 112, approaching 113 years in 80 days. And widow of President Francisco Orlik Bolmarchich. And
wait, Horlick? That also sounds Horlick's fucking teas and chocolates, and it's not.
Because he doesn't have. I think we might have stumbled across a wormhole here. He was president of Costa Rica, but ethnically he was Croatian.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Oh, I know where this is going already.
Of course.
Oh no! Oh
Right.
no!
So I'm gonna, just click and go a little bit further. Oh, and the numbers, as our viewers would know, he was president of Costa Rica from 1962 to 1966, of course. Right.
Please tell me if there is a relation to Horlicks, which is, they produce the fucking
I mean,
hot
Orlik
chocolates and
definitely
stuff like
is.
that.
I mean, Joseph. Oh, I'm pretty sure we're gonna end with. Right, let's have a look. Let's have a look at his.
Drum roll. But you know what? Even if it can't be verified online, it's probably the case nonetheless. There's so many cases where couldn't find it until we really kind of
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's definitely the case, because there's nothing about his right. Interestingly, he works for Bethlehem Steel as a pattern. Like, how do you go from working in a steel plant to being fucking president of Costa Rica? Can you tell me that?
And also from Croatia as well, of all places. Which back in the day, I'm assuming he was born turn of the century era. If I'm guessing, if I'm his wife is now 112 years old. She was probably a trophy wife anyway. Born at a period where that part of the world was pretty damn impoverished. Fall of the Ottoman Empire presumably had just about happened. First World War. Croatia certainly wasn't a boom town. So to be a Croatian who ends up being a patent man at an international US steel firm to becoming the president of Costa Rica, it sounds like you'd have to have a fair few cultural connections, let's say.
Yeah. All the numbers are there, right? and nothing on his lineage. Like, it doesn't even say what his parents did.
Oh, we're on the wrong side. Try the lady. Try her side.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that on his side, let's go on her side. Let's see.
I mean, she's 112, so she's been, suckling on baby blood.
Let's see.
And that's another thing as well.
She actually is of Costa Rican descent. She's a Quiros, and she was born in San Ramon. And her parents were Camacho and Quiros, and they were both farmers. And she was so. Yeah, there's nothing.
Sounds a bit suspicious to me. That's another thing. How does a farm girl, become the first lady? Right now, that's another thing. Let's just explore this a little bit further, just from a kind of practical standpoint. So they're saying that his wife, who is still alive to this day, is 112 years old, the oldest registered centenarian, right? And she went from being a lowly farm girl in a relatively impoverished family. I'm assuming that, I don't want to be making stuff up here, or a farm girl nonetheless in a rural part of Costa Rica of native descent. She then becomes the first lady to the president, who is a man of business stature. You can't tell me that this transition and this opening of this experiencing of new worlds, so to speak, new experiences, doesn't implant high levels of stress on the human body. And they say stress is the number one killer of people. So how can one be the president's wife and not encounter all kinds of stresses? The thought processes involved in just being connected and probably having to go to dinners every evening and dress up in this, that, and the next. I don't understand how one can then live to 112 years old and still be living, still be breathing, unless there's some kind of scenario that's that we should.
Yeah, I'm incredibly suspicious of this one. There's no actual, like, normally it's like, oh yeah, there's literally no story on how they met. It's not like she was like a cleaner at one of his villas or something. Like, there is literally no story on either of their pages on how they met.
Which you'd expect, given that she is the oldest living human being. You'd expect that someone would have put a bit of research in, and not only that, I mean, she's the fucking first lady to a former, president.
Yeah, this doesn't make sense. I mean, there's literally no detail even of his ascent to being the president of Costa Rica. This is this is a human being I'm going to have to do a little bit of research on. However, the fact that it's not on Wikipedia means it's probably not on the internet, because Wikipedia get what you can get on the internet. So you probably have to, go through,
really dig down.
Really dig, go through some different types of archives and go through national archives, and that's a crazy one. So it didn't take long for us to uncover some shit.
Yeah, well, it's entirely appropriate to the conversation, isn't it? We opened up the conversation with the kind of, I guess, conspiratorial notion of how so many centenarians have been influential characters throughout history, and yet being an influential character generally commands a lot of stress, a lot of dedication to a job, work, etc. Irrespective of whether you're playing golf all day, just that the mind is constantly running, you're constantly thinking about, what's happening, your attitudes to life, your perspective from the public. Just, I don't think you can live in a stress-free environment, even if you try, if you're in the public eye, and yet you're living to 110, 105, 120. And this just goes to show that, that there's just never a logical reason as to how these people have ended up, again, often chain smoking Cubans in the 20s, going to speakeasy clubs and downing whiskey soda after whiskey soda, and then ending up in some orgy fest in, I don't know, the Manhattan Center, and yet 100 years later you're still standing. It doesn't make sense, does it, unless there is a mechanism that is known to those in the positions of power, those that have the capacity to essentially buy life. It just wouldn't make sense. There has to be some kind of miracle magic, ointment, cure, whatever you want to call it, that is being utilized. And of course, this goes down one direction that at least has been brought up in the public eye, assuming it's not kind of a kind of shilly controlled op scenario. But things like adrenochrome, which has been I guess sponsored by all kinds of faiths and cultures, not just with respect to human babies and fetus, etc., but animal blood, lamb's blood has always been consumed. In fact, the younger the animal, the fresher the flesh, so to speak. And this is something that has been recorded hundreds of thousands of years back in time as a kind of potent mechanism for youth. And so it's not really all far-fetched, is it? The kind of Pizzagate scenario and everything that comes with that. And again, looking at the people that are involved, many of them are just known pedos. People in the higher echelons of society, as we've discussed on many occasions, have to be banded by some kind of sick, sadistic taste, because that's the ultimate way to keep a business functioning. And when it's a business that is sadistic, like heavy high-end finance, control over every aspect of the world, you need to ensure that the people that you employ are ruthless, and ruthless people have to be involved in the most ruthless, heinous acts, which are of course usually regarded by society as being things involving children. So not to tangent off, but the idea, the notion that those kinds of characters can be having a glass next to their orange juice and their pineapple slices at each breakfast of children's brain or whatever is really not too far-fetched.
And unfortunately not. Reality stranger than fiction. So these sorts of things happen, absolutely.
Which is also a movie, isn't it? Stranger than fiction. It doesn't matter.
The only one I can think of with fiction, the title's Pulp, but I don't think you were talking about that one. But
no. Yeah. Wait, Pulp? What's Pulp?
Pulp Fiction.
Oh, Pulp Fiction. No. There's another one, Stranger than something. It's Stranger Than Fiction, I thought. It's a black and white movie. I might be wrong. It's the same guy that directed one of Johnny Depp's early movies, which is also black and white. I can't think at the moment. I don't know why. I think it's this elevation. The blood is rushing to my brain from my foot at such a rate that I can't think of the goddamn words.
I thought it was to help your brain work even faster.
Well, I would think so too, but I guess maybe it's just the quick rush is putting things off course, or maybe it's early health signs. Who knows? Who knows? Again, all the poisons we're breathing in. It wouldn't surprise me if we get matrixed out tomorrow into a new dimension. But yes, continue.
So number 2 on this list, surprise, surprise, is another person involved in politics. This person.
Oh, really? Oh, what a coincidence! This is exactly what I had when I was looking at the deceased centenarians too.
This person is 111 years old, just gone past it. Chinese, an academic administrator and politician. Back in the day in China. And
what day was that? 1831 or something? Was it 1914?
Well, God, in office from 1953 to 1960, Vice President of the China Agricultural University, Secretary of the East China Normal University between 1978 and 1983, so fairly recently. Only retired in 1985, so had a pretty worked until the late 70s, early 80s anyway.
Nearly 40 years ago, though.
Literally 40 years ago, exactly 40 years ago. And surprise, surprise, this person has literally no Wikipedia page. It's like, I will read his whole Wikipedia page in 30 seconds. She joined the Chinese Communist Party in 1938 and became Vice President of Beijing Agricultural University in 1953, holding the post until 1960. From 78 to 83, he was the CCP Secretary for East China Normal University. He served as Secretary General of Shanghai Municipal People's Congress from 83 to 85. He is the grandfather of biophysicist and university president Shi Yigong. That is the whole Wikipedia page.
And again, it sounds like a pretty jam-packed, strenuous career path to be running universities and to be a politician in office, and yet the man finds himself there alive at 111 years old
in communist China.
In communist China, yeah. It's not adding up, is it? But maybe during his findings and his research as an academic, aligned to kind of farming and food and nutrition, no doubt, maybe he found that magic cure. Who knows? Maybe they're spraying children's blood on the fields. I mean, this was around the time of the purge, was it not? When was Mao's purge, where they killed, starved out millions? Maybe that's why he lived so long, because he had all the food. I mean,
let's see.
The purges.
When did Mao do? Right, so he was, previous office was 54 to 59.
Sounds about the right time frame, to be honest. The guy entered office at 38, didn't he? 1938. Mao's Great Purge. How many millions died in that? Wasn't it something insane?
No, bloody hell. Do you know how long he was in office?
Oh, no.
33 years.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
1943 to 1976.
Wow. There we go. We found those magic numbers again, audience. You see, it's everywhere, because everything is alive.
Live on air.
There we go. We had a scenario earlier where we were talking about if you just type in. I mean, I've said this before with respect to COVID, which is also one of the many obvious scams. If you are to implement this this style of kind of God, I can't think, James. I can't think. I'm actually losing my mind. This style of investigation, I guess, if you input 33 or 300,000 or 6 million, any of those magic numbers and many more into Google News or Google Images, you will always come up with just a sequence of just ludicrous examples. For example, Walmart's the superstore in the United States sells for Christmas a 33 foot Christmas tinsel garland. I mean, you got a question, why would it be 33? Would it not just be 30? Would you not round it up to 35 or 40? Who's out shopping for 33 feet of tinsel? It's quite bizarre, isn't it? I mean, obviously the examples, the sky's the limit. It's just endless examples. 33 is the magic number, of course, but 30s and 6 millions, they're all in there. And I really do recommend taking a little just glance at this this scenario strategy. I'm losing my mind. I think the blood's rushing to my brain. It's going to kill me.
I mean, you're doing fine for now.
For now,
you're still discernible.
Good.
So apparently, it was launched like the cultural, and they call it a purge. They've labelled it the Cultural Revolution.
Yeah.
Hell. Cultural revolution as well. It was launched in 1966 and lasted 10
Magic
years.
Numbers.
Yeah, exactly right. But I think there was more than one phase behind the let's 66 to 76, 10 years.
There we go. So this chap would have been in office. This man, that's the second oldest living centenarian, who's 111. He was in office, until 1970? Did you say 70?
No, it was 85.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what was the 33 years about then? Because I thought there was 33 years between 40-something. Was it? When did he enter?
That was Mao. Oh, sorry, Mao. So Mao himself.
Oh, that was Mao. Of course.
Yeah, was in office from 43 to 76.
Which is 33, and his purge began in 1966. Again, more numerology there. And this living centenarian, or the second oldest, would have been in office throughout that entire period. And I believe a lot of the purges were a consequence of mass famine, which would have been implemented by individuals that had the knowledge and the kind of the resources to control the arable farming sector, as this man no doubt did. But again, going back to the kind of age scenario, these are stressful times. Communist Maoist China with purges happening, and this person would have been at the forefront. A lot of it, as we said, concern a kind of a controlling of the kind of food supply and that kind of artificial scarcity being implemented as a consequence of these kind of animalistic totalitarian policies. And yet this man, with all that stress, his mind probably never stopped functioning. Probably didn't get much sleep, and he's there, 111 years old, still alive today. So why is this happening? Who's number 3 on the list, by the way? And who's number
Number
6? Just out of
three
interest. Number 3 is
goes
just Betty
off.
from Minnesota, is it?
Well,
Just a random.
number 3 is a Spanish painter. However, it's not just any Spanish painter. He's got like a permanent exhibition in a part of Spain. And there's more, and bear in mind, this is a painter, yet there's more information on this guy than there is on the previous 2 that, in theory, had higher social standings. So
I'm assuming this Spanish painter then, how old is he? 110, 109,
he's
something like that.
110.
So he's 110, so he would have known Picasso, no doubt, and the likes of those characters.
Quite possibly, and in 2 weeks exactly, he will be 111. He works at the family cherry business, and he's from like the
cherry business. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, exactly. Like probably like taking fucking babies' cherries.
Oh, 100%, yeah, 100%. I don't disbelieve it.
And he
Painters
also
are always a
lived
bit whack.
through the Spanish Civil War.
Yeah, exactly.
He
Yeah.
was also conscripted into the army, and he's also been shot.
Do you know what? Half the time, I don't even believe these characters are real at all. I mean, sometimes I just think they completely just make it up.
I mean,
who's
by
to
the
say
way,
these
there are
people
no
even exist?
photos of any of these people, by the way. Like, on their Wikipedia page, at least. There are no photos of any of them. This is just writing.
So after 110 years, throughout that period, film was obviously developed and well developed. There are no photographs have managed to make it to the Wikipedia profiles of the top 3 oldest individuals alive today. Quite astounding, isn't it?
It's yeah. I'm just reading through. There's nothing particularly, profound. Other than the fact that yes, a few permanent exhibitions up.
Sometimes you just need to take a pot shot and just copy his name into Google, after which you type accused of sexual offences against kids or something like that. And that's when you start to build the connections. Oh, that's why he's living to 111. Oh, involved in human trafficking, or if you go on Google Images and just input the name and then best friends, it will be like King of Spain, just stuff like that. What kind of painter was he? Was he a portrait painter, or was he like?
I mean, it's funny. It says that he learned to
Postmodernist.
draw, so I'm assuming it probably was portraits.
He learned to draw in the basement of the King's sex dungeons. That's probably what it was.
And a couple as well, the son named Louise, a solitary artist. It's just he made it like there's not even any pictures. Oh right, let me go to his official website. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at his official website and see if there's anything. Yeah, he's a painter and not a very good one.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this stuff.
Garbage, is it? Is it modern?
Basic, like it's just very basic, like
landscapes and stuff.
But but it's not detailed. It's like it's the sort of thing, literally, a pretty decent 17 to 18-year-old art student could like.
So maybe that's why he is alive then, because he's just so dull. he is leading a stress-free life. He doesn't have anything going on upstairs. Maybe, he's semi-retarded, and 110, nearly 11 years of existence has brought him to a bare average state.
Living in rural Spain as well, like the Galicia region, like, whatever, just fucking sit on a chair, eating olives every Friday, not working on Friday. It's like this. And once
But this
again,
is the thing.
by the
By
way, there
that
are no
logic,
photos of him on his website either. There's
no
just,
photos.
no photos.
This person might not be real. All right, what's number 4? I'm curious now.
Number 4, we go back to I'll tell a lie. Yep, there is a photograph of him, and he looks like Jimmy Savile.
So he probably is. I mean, so we've concluded then, without doubt, that's probably the origin of his extended existence. He has traits not dissimilar to those shared by the likes of people like Jimmy the Savile. And for those that don't know who Jimmy Savile is, I recommend inputting that name into Google. So who's number 4 then?
The number 4 was born on a cusp, November the 21st of 1913. He's 110 years and 29 days old. And he's a former military officer and politician
There we go.
Communist China again. Now, and once again, he became a founding Major General of PLA in 1961. The People's Liberation Army, which is the armed wing of the Chinese Communist Party.
So basically, the slaughterers.
Exactly. So he was definitely doing things that, and probably involved in, lots of experiments on people during
100%.
because China's technology that they have today was obviously developed. It didn't just come from nowhere. So, and they probably would have, found ways to, extend one's life, as well as extracting things from people, maybe to prolong their own as well.
Who's number 5?
3 years in office. All right, okay. All right, let's go. Number 5 is an American social worker. Again, someone with access to children.
It's true. Yeah. And again, a job that you'd imagine is probably just about the most stressful job in existence. Underpaid, universally underpaid, and constantly being involved in the most heinous crimes and listening to all kinds of terrible tales about abuse and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And especially as a black woman living in, America during
oh my
that
god
time.
Wait, no, oh my god, wait, she's black?
Yes.
That she may well know then. Oh my god, I don't have my laptop in front of me. There is a famous black lady who is she was like regarded for so many years as the kind of like almost like a saint. She might even be a saint. I'm not even sure. And she worked for a very long time. She also lived to quite a ripe old age.
Oh, the children's homes.
Yeah, and she was fucking involved with the trafficking the kids, it turned out. It came out eventually, I think. And she was involved in trafficking all these kids. Because, surely, where is this lady originally from? That was in New York, I think.
This is the other side. This is LA.
The other side, is it? But I'm sure they were transferring kids from one end to the next. But yeah, it turned out
California. Let's have a look. She's one of 8 children. Once again, no photograph
which is ridiculous, and especially given how, the whole kind of issue of minorities in the United States, of all places, is such a prominent factor of today, that they even go out of their way to, when there's a Google, the Google signage that you get when it's decorated in memory of like such and such person, they go out of their way to find minority members of society that have contributed to, the development of technology or whatever. So you would expect that a 110-year-old Black American lady who was a social worker, who's still alive to this day, would have a profile with a photograph of her on her Wikipedia page. And so, continue, James.
None of honorary doctor of honorary member of Delta Kappa, which sounds
which it's a fraternity. And you know what? The lady I'm thinking of was also a member of a fraternity as well.
Some of her awards are the Santa Barbara. So once again, like none of these people were at number 5 on the list. And not one of these people is just a fucking normal person. Like,
and also,
not one.
Is this true that all 5 individuals who are the 5 oldest living people on Earth, not a single one of them has a photograph on their Wikipedia page?
Not a single one.
Not a single one. Does that sound suspicious, audience? Not one. 5 oldest people in the world.
I'm just going to click on this news article and let's just see if it has a photograph of her.
I've got a feeling I've seen her before when I've scrolled through some of these myself.
There's a photograph of her probably about 20 years ago, because I don't believe this photo that I'm looking at is of someone that's 100 and... Yeah, okay. Even in this article, like an NASW California news article, like, yeah, there's not even a photograph of her there. This is bizarre. These people live in like underground caves, just like hooked up to an IV of adrenochrome.
No, 100%. Or they might not even exist at all.
Well, they might not
actually.
even exist at all. Yeah. Or they're possibly even dead. I mean,
yeah. What's number 6?
Right.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating.
Number 6 is also an American Black lady who survived Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is something that, I think that'll be a very interesting thing to cover in the future. But this is an alleged survivor of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Let's see. Right, so 100 years after the massacre, she testified before Congress about the need for reparations. Okay, experience during the massacre. Let's have a look. 19 visit to Ghana. They met with the Ghanaian president. Once again, not a normal person.
No,
not a normal person. Somebody that's been asked to speak at Congress.
Presidents of countries.
3, yeah. Let's have a look. May the 5th, 1914. Experience pursuit of reparations seems to be the main thing.
And also, what's this Tulsa thing? So what was Tulsa? Just a brief overview.
So Tulsa,
I don't know.
Oklahoma, so Tulsa, Oklahoma was literally like the heyday of just I suppose subjugation of of Black people in America at the time. There was this place called Tulsa that was basically called it was like what they called like the Black Wall Street. It was like a flourishing Black community in the early 1900s. It was completely self-sufficient, and literally the police, like the firemen, like the American government literally bombed the place. Like they literally just like bombed it, like literally bombed like a church, killed hundreds of people,
So it's a
turned this
very
whole town into rubble, and
so it's a
yeah,
very prominent part of African American history, and we find ourselves seeing that apparently the fifth oldest person in the world just happens to have supposedly been a survivor of that, and as a consequence has contraring the reparation narrative, and then they're on met at Congress and with the president of Ghana. Again, I find it very hard to believe that these really important events seem to all be linked somehow. You know, not all important events, but with some of the oldest people in the world. Like
literally,
it just, I don't buy it. I just
like
don't buy it.
two of Mao's like lieutenants,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first lady of Costa Rica,
Which is insane.
painter, like a prominent Spanish painter who has won these awards, but his paintings are really shit, and like it just doesn't really add up. Right. Finally, we've got a Brit at number 7, of course. I mean, there's got to be a Brit on there.
Absolutely.
Writer and fundraiser, Anne Baker. Who's Anne? No picture. Anne Baker, MBE.
Oh, there we go.
Right, okay.
Did you
So
do you, do you get an MBE after living to 100 years old? It
I was
might be
just
something
thinking, I
religious
was
to
wondering
shout.
if that was. Oh, wow.
Oh no, who is it?
She received a merit award from the NSPCC.
Oh my God, no
Oh
way.
my
Oh
God.
my God. So for viewers that don't know what the NSPCC is, because it's a British thing, it's essentially a child line. It's an agency dedicated to the protection and welfare of vulnerable children.
Yeah, the actual acronym is the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children,
To
and
children.
the irony is just like the Red Cross, just like Oxfam, just like Barnardo's, just like they are the people that are
So
ultimately doing industrial level
so
cruelty.
we have been pursuing indirectly, I guess, I think it's fair to say, the idea that the trick to life, the elixir of life that's giving them, the capacity to live to such extended ages, is a derivative of something sordid and satanic and suspicious at the very least, at the base. And we find ourselves reading out through the list for people that might have just been tuned in, 1 to 7 of the oldest living human beings today, 4 of them have direct links to children. Number 7 is a lady that's associated with the National Society for the Protection of Cruelty to Children in the UK. She's how old, James? 109 years old.
Yes.
Then we find ourselves at number 5, I believe, an African American lady who was a social worker. And I
Yes.
think I've researched her before, and she does have some very dodgy links indeed. And then we've got 2 of Mao's staff members, both of whom served throughout the period of the genocide, the Great Purges. Yep. One of whom was a general for essentially what would have been the Slaughter Army, the special forces of Mao's regime. The other one was involved with farming and education, again, children. And then the first oldest living individual is the wife to the former president of Costa Rica, who is Croatian by birth, which makes no sense, and a former patent man for one of the largest multinational steel companies, no doubt. At least a subsidiary of it. So and 6 of these individuals, or was it 5? The top 5 and the 7th have no pictures on their Wikipedia profiles whatsoever.
In fact, all
7.
All seven
of the oldest living people to date, many of whom are incredibly prominent in terms of their past accolades and traits and characteristics as politicians and generals. None of them there's not a single photograph of these individuals on their Wikipedia profile. I mean, isn't that just bizarre. What a coincidence this all is. And again, you know, the notion that the consumption of blood and fluids from young creatures, whether human or animal, have been used since the dawn of time as believed methods of life sustenance. And we find ourselves seeing firsthand that 4 of the oldest living people today have direct connections to children. Isn't that insane?
It's it highlights a very unsettling truth about this realm that we exist in. It's enlightening, and you would just hope that people are able to read between the lines and and see things for what they are. It's a bit disturbing at first, but you know, it's also liberating to be aware of one's surroundings and to not be hoodwinked. Because you know, these are people who we vote for, or we admire their work, or we expect them to protect us and our rights, or we expect them to protect our children or our countries, etc. But yeah, I mean, just generally speaking, it's like for you to exist, for you to have this level of longevity under duress, there's usually a knack to it, and the knack tends to have links to potentially children. Let's hope that's not the case. Let's just hope that this is organic. But we seem to find a correlation here.
And if you don't hear from us, audience, in the coming weeks, you know we stumbled upon the correct correlation. But yeah, no, I think that's actually that's a nice episode. Leave it on a cliffhanger. Otherwise, we don't want to undermine our current conclusions by going to 8, 9, and 10 and finding that they have absolutely no links whatsoever to what we've already said.
Yeah,
that would be disappointing. So we'll
I mean,
keep
1
it.
to 7's good. 7's the magic number anyway. So.
That is true. It absolutely is. So yeah, should we keep it a brief episode and not bore our audience any longer and leave it?
I mean, we've done 45 minutes.
Have we done 45 minutes? Good God.
Yeah.
See, time flies when you're having fun and you're investigating the kind of sadism, you know, happening all around us. But yeah, I guess we can call it quits and save the kind of the next step, I suppose, for episode 14 or 15 or 20 or whatever it is now. And I guess we can have that. We can have that done at some point, can't we? I mean, maybe a Christmas special.
We might do you guys a Christmas special. You know, yeah, bar humbug, ho ho ho, and all that sort of stuff.
Of course, as a Christmas special involving ourselves, it will involve naturally, you know, pedos and you know, all the other good, majestic, merry things that you look for when opening your presents under the tree. Bit of, you know, satanic Santa and all that good stuff. All that good stuff.
Esoteric symbology and the like. Yeah.
Right. So, well, I guess do you want to say farewell, James?
Yeah, thank you once again for listening. I hope that we've provoked your mind adequately. We've finger fucked your brain enough to arouse more suspicion in the world. And yeah, thank you for listening. Obviously, comment, subscribe, like, all that good stuff to get the information spread and grow our membership from 2 to something like 6 would be quite nice. Yeah,
indeed it would. And yeah, I concur with everything he's just said. And I guess we'll see you for the festive period, which begins this weekend.
Indeed.
Au revoir. Bye bye. Adios.
Adios.